Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. No way, yeah. OSIS. Oh my god. Oh my god. Got my Jordan notes right here. Lanyards in the blaze. Baby listening. Baby calming. Hi everyone. We have our final Elimination. We got CISO backwards. That is some serious today. Alright, listen, sorry. We are at the final elimination before we get into the battles. That's right. Not wrong. Right. That is the lightest colour with a lisp. So, I'm going to be analysing the battles as well. That'll be a fun journey. But now it's Judge Stanner. We're about to have a little Luke. I will tell you where I ranked OSIS, and I'll tell you where he officially ranked. Let's enjoy the video. Let's talk about whatever I can summon from the brain. Let's make some observations. Let's have fun with it. The original link, one last time in the elims, in the description. Big up Swiss Beatbox. Go and click like on the original video. That's support. I got some bloobs. Gonna have some bloobs. All right, let's get into this. Sour one. Oh, why did I deserve that? It's probably because of the intro. Right, I got a coffee anyway. Oh, that just recovered everything. Let's do it. Oh my god! That's it. Kill him. Murder.
You. Let's see what
You're
happens
dead.
right now.
Decapitation.
I say the three, y'all say the two, and the one.
Life
Count
imprisonment.
in 3.
Don't want to go to Okigia.
Hook melody keeps creeping close.
Sick.
Hook melody.
Yeah.
Melody keeps creeping close. Hook melody keeps creeping.
What? Your head has to be moving.
This is not a statue for hurt. This is a bit of murder.
Wow. He's showing loads at the start. Wow, that's so tough. Wow, that's fire. Oh, dig-a-dig-dun. Nice.
Get stuck inside.
Is that a click roll?
You get stuck inside. You get stuck inside. You get stuck inside my head. Get stuck inside. You get stuck inside. Get stuck inside. You get stuck inside. Get inside.
Nice.
You get stuck inside.
It's just a proper tune, man. one little mistake potentially there. Wow, one. He has killed this.
Hello?
Hello, 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 hello. I feel like we've lost a bit of momentum here. He's definitely 90 degrees away from the crowd, that's true. Alright.
Close. Keeps creeping close. Melody keeps creeping close.
And that's time.
Not a happy demeanor,
OSIS, OSIS, OSIS.
but forced to own it. But not only, he know. Okay, I'll speak more. So, not happy in the demeanor, but does put his chest up and front it, and also he knows that as long as he beatboxed, he has killed it to some degree. In other words, maybe he thinks he could have done better, but still did strong. Right. Closer. I like that. Hook melody closer. Woo! Okay, so let's assess it. I could pull the video back and go like that way. I can't really ask you if you want that, because you're not here. It's not a live stream. Off the bat, I love this start.
Hook melody.
He's killing that. All right, commander. That's the word. Commanding. Okay. I start with the negatives, and that's because I need to. So the negatives. He is not actually commanding well. I don't know what that is about, but believable. Be the pilot of your own plane, I guess. So pretend all these performers are pilots of the plane. This is not the most trustable one, because I'm not sure he is in command of what he wants to as much as other people are. Like Black Roll. He is commanding that ship. He is commanding everything. And I don't think that OSIS is killing it in a commanding point of view. So it's stuff to do with how he isn't addressing the crowd and his demeanor is kind of slumped. Also, how he's side angled. And I know what that's like. You can get into your own shell a bit. You get into your own bubble, basically. And the stage can be some form of comfort zone. So he's not actually uncomfortable, maximum. He's definitely not commanding as he wants to. But as long as he's facing the side and he's in his element, he can get the beats out. And he can be a fantastic beatboxer, which he is. He's a world-class, top-level beatboxer. Top of the world level. So, yeah. Now, there was a little flow break and a little mistake. They're the only two things I can evidently pick up on. I wonder what I wrote in my notes, actually. We'll see in a minute. Any more con points? The structure was banging. The variety was strong. Perhaps he doesn't need to show the craziest amount of tricks in the early half to be able to build that trick up for us later. But that doesn't matter. That's actually his style. So, no. That's only subjective. Like, he chooses to go overboard. That's his thing, sometimes. All right, now in for the positives. So first up, it's going to be evidently the insane authenticity in the sound designs. And for me, particularly, the sets he's created. Hook melody. And something about can't get you out of my head. Something like that. And it's just the artistry is just freaking sick. Even down to the clothes. Not that that gets the score up, but you know what I mean, right? Let's not be stupid. Like, the whole thing has a style. That's what we want. Style is sensory. It's all of them. You know, it's the look. It's the taste, if you could. But like, it's all senses basically. Like, audibly, visually, particular, and it's got a whole theme to it. He's just so sick with his vocal delivery. He's one of the best. We're talking about how to like speak with bass or talk or the lyrics that he uses. Banging. skill, unreal. The flow, unbelievable. Easy for me to swing my head to, and particularly interesting for me to swing my head to. And that suggests that the elo, as we talked about in the last one, is high, because I understand a high, intricate flow. Like, that's something he'd listen to and go, ah, yeah. And then if he does that, I go, ah, yeah. And some of you might go, oh, what? But if you get those flows, then you obviously know a thing. Your ear's working well, and you have a particular set of skills. He does that. He does a swing rhythm in the hip hop flow, which has this glitch feel to it. And also, being the last elimination is another piece of context. So the crowd's a little bit more It's his job, in a sense, to bring that up, which is not fun. But yeah, and also going last means what's left? What can you even show? And that's the thing, right? Guys, think about this. Versatility and spontaneity are important, because you can turn up with your pretty cute little set piece. That's all right, cool. But what if you have to go last or near last? Now, the judges might have heard X amount of things up to this point, and some of you might argue, well, it doesn't matter. You've got to be impartial every time. All right, then, true. But it's not always like that. This is an event. There's not objections. It's not an objective thing. This is a music event, and you might need to take on the role of providing fresh things, even if it just means like do your same set but have an explosive energy if that's been barren, or have a swaggy commanding attitude if we haven't seen loads of that. Well, fortunately for OSIS, we haven't seen much of that. You know, this stuff, this swaggy flow. So it did stand out. And switching to the drum and bass, far. That was banging. I loved that switch. It's an obvious one, hip hop to drum and bass, but it works so well for him because he's so rich with his artistry. Another massive pro point is his drums. They're also refined. This is a extremely big compliment I want to give OSIS. He is one of the tiniest few one-hand names on earth in the world, the best, at doing complexities on the microphone. You know what? Like, Alexinho is particularly good at that. Epos is really good at that. Alem and Collapse. And I wouldn't say the same about myself or River or, I don't know, there's a few others. But it's not quite what I'm explaining. It's about, okay, I think this is what it is. Your humans, 85 to 95% skill ability, and how good are you at showing that pocket? So the latter names, like me, we're pretty good. We're good. We're really good. But the first few names I said, I observe to be particularly good at showing their version of 85 to 95%. And OSIS is in arguments, in my opinion, to be the best at that. So he's the best at showing his version of complexity on a microphone. It's such a weird parameter, but I back it. And everyone has a different, like, my 85% is definitely more than most people's 100%. So at least I get that cushion of sit back, and that's an excuse, I suppose. Now we're getting into a really tricky world, though. But yeah, and so everyone has different versions of their own skill, but I'm talking about somebody's true 90% ability and how good they are at translating it on the mic. He does not get ahead of himself. He keeps it clean. He keeps it clear. He keeps it well executed, consistent. And for that, he is automatically in the top half, as long as he doesn't stop beatboxing, really. Okay, now there's an irony to this one that I will address, and it's when he says about stuck in my you're stuck in my head or something, is exactly the critique I would say for the second half of this, is that he's actually stuck in his own head. I don't know if I picked up on that in the moment, but it didn't help the cause, I suppose. He's definitely in his own head, that's for sure, hence why the commander role didn't go so strong. The beatboxing did, but I will say that a few of the shots fired some blanks, is how I would describe it. So somebody that killed it more, like Kaji, every shot fired was a hit. Whereas with OSIS, he was pulling out more tricks, but they came with a bit more of a lower energy, or they did not quite hit as hard like they could have. The beatboxing is unbelievable, but some of the shots didn't hit so hard, and that's due to many factors like the crowd aren't as hyped, which not particularly his fault. His demeanor and commanding energy, and then subjectively it might be the amount of skill he's used so far, or many tricks, but that also scores up for me because he's showing me variety. But yeah, like there's a really insane balance that no one on earth has fully mastered yet as to how to tick all these boxes at once. But yeah, so in other words, like I would like a little bit more emphasis on each trick, a bit more maybe suspense or build or composure and commanding energy to get into each new trick where people are like, wow, and it hits a bit harder. That's about it, really. It's a really solid elimination. I actually spoke to OSIS after. I mean, look, if you didn't know it, we're mates. Me and OSIS, good mates. Right? Whoa, friends bias. No, it's not like that. But I did chat to him after, and he wasn't not happy. He was worried he ain't going to pass. He was not happy. And I can understand why he wasn't happy, because I know, as I've talked about in these elims, about how well did somebody kill it to what they could. I keep referring some people, you know, the wing, the den. Like some people really killed it. OSIS definitely falls in the lower half. I won't go as far to say that he had as much room to his improve as some people, but he definitely, okay, if he did the elimination 10 times, this probably was the 7th or 8th best go at it. So if he did it 10 times, I reckon he could do 7 of them would be a better take. Nah, that's unfair, man. We're actually anti-glazing you, bro. OSIS, if you're watching, you really killed it. Listen, it sounds crazy. The textures were great. Dry mouth didn't really suffer. Like, the combos worked. You know what? I actually take that back. It was only the energy. That was it. You know what? I'm going to go to 5th. I'm going to say it was down the middle. Half the time he could perform that better with a better energy and performance, but half the time there could be a little bit more mistakes or problems. He was really on point. Okay, what were my live notes? Let's see. So I wrote this. Tiny timing thing. I had to write that. I wrote not loudest, which actually does not come through in video. That's a point. He was, from a volume perspective, he was probably the middle. You know, 8 and 9, the middle area. Something, yeah, maybe 9, like that area. So he's not coming through the sound system as strong as the stronger ones, and he's louder than the weaker ones. I wrote skill level mad. Yeah. Especially percussively. Textures crazy. Sideway, what? Sideway facing loses a tiny bit of energy. Yeah, that's true. I've talked about that. That's true. Probably very well ranked. What does that even say? Very well ranked, probably. Whatever. The notes are done now, aren't they? Probably. Yeah, they're done. So, in other words, OSIS default beatbox level is in the passing dabbling, isn't it? For me, it is anyway. So, here's my list. I had OSIS in 4th place, and the official rank was in 5th place. So I had him a touch above. So let's look at my list and compare. So Napalm had a story, an energy, and a more prominent sound on the microphone. Those things just tipped Napalm over, which can be controversial because the beatbox set was nowhere near as good as OSIS is, you can argue. But those things I just said are crucial. They are. It's a balance, you know? Napalm's still shown skill. Napalm's still shown variety. Maybe he just was not showing as much complexities and beatbox wow factors as OSIS. Now, OSIS is above Blackroll, sheer artistry. I couldn't put him below. Blackroll sounded considerably better in this elimination stage on the microphone. And you can argue Blackroll's structure was flipping almost flawless, like show-off energy was wicked. But there's something about authenticity and artistry that OSIS stood out with. So that's his ranking. And that's also the conclusion of the elims. So just to conclude, I have Kaji, Wing, Napalm, OSIS, Blackroll, Codfish, Pac-Max, and King Inertia. That was my top 8. And then Den, Stitch, and Remix narrowly missing it. Any more notes to say then? Seen a comment actually last night, just on a side note. It was about how it was on Remix's video about how is Codfish in, where the beats are even more simple than Remix. I disagree. I think can be easier than the really fast from my experience. So even though it doesn't sound as complex, or maybe actually doesn't sound as good, then yeah, it doesn't. Remixes sounds better, but don't come down the lane of it's harder or easier. Sorry. I will conclude another thing on the Elims. I was a little bit underwhelmed in general. I think what I'd done is I looked at the list of names and amped it up a little bit more than it became. And maybe people are preserving for the battle, but I do think that most people did not deliver their best Elim I've ever seen. Kaji, Blackroll, Den, them three would hold their head most high for me. Kaji, Blackroll, and Den, they probably did some of the best stuff I've ever heard from them. And actually, you know what? This isn't a kick in the head, this is just the truth. But I also think the same about Pono and Max. I actually think Pono and Max smashed it, and I don't think that they could have done more with their set. Their execution was great. I can see conflicts with my list. Like, how can Max and Pono have such a good execution where Dropical messed up? Well, that's where I try to do a devil's advocate or balance all the factors. Yes, of course, Dropical's execution was a 5 or 6 out of 10, whereas those other guys might be a 9. But then on that, the same spectrum flip side is how impressive I found the tricks. Yeah, and that's my list. As always, to be honest, I'm ridiculously confident my list is right. If you haven't got my list, I think you're wrong. I obviously think that my list is right. But I can hear you. That's the truth. I can genuinely hear you. There is a lot of ways that this list can shift that I hear you. I hear it. You can even teach me. Like, here and there, I speak to people and they teach me a thing or two about how to think. Like, there's many of them. I had a great chat with Pono and Den, actually, in a hotel, and we were talking about the meta sounds on the mic, and I really liked what they were saying. It made me think otherwise. It doesn't change my thoughts on what you need to do on the microphone, or you don't need to tarnish your style, but it definitely made me think where they were coming from and how it suffers, the style can suffer. So I liked it. I hear it. I learn. I like to hear people's thoughts. And I just really enjoyed being trusted to judge it. I really enjoy that. It's sick. I have so much fun doing it. It's stressful, but fun. No decisions were very hard. I truly think Codfish's Elim is underappreciated. Yeah. I understand that it would be scored low. It was sloppy. The peak parts were just so sick. And I think you're sleeping on how hard his stuff is. You don't hear people do his thing very often as good as him. I can hear Remix and Inertia being higher. I can hear that. If that's what you're looking for. They were honestly sick. And do you know what as well? I feel like them two on another system, sound system, and a different venue would go much higher. That's a shame. Wings was just solid. Like, it was fairly plateau in the first half and it got ridiculous. I loved it. I think Wings is my favourite one, just from an enjoyment perspective. Napalm's was rough, but so solid. And a lot of the carry is how he sounded on the mic. Pac Max is my biggest fluctuation. He finished 4th, I had him 7th. That was my biggest judge fluctuation, was 3 spots. Not bad going, right? He had tricks like OSIS, and he even sounded like one of the best, Pac Max. I just wasn't convinced with the mistake, and I just don't think it was the perfect take on the mic, the perfect go-around. Nevertheless, very solid, and yeah, in contention to be a couple spots higher. All right, that's all the overview of it. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, actually, don't even click like. Don't do anything. You're just a viewer. Just do your thing. See you for the next ones, though. I think it'll be a top 10 drops, which I will watch. I want to maybe predict it and get hyped again. So, all right, I'll see you later, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.